There are places in your mind you've locked away. Memories that don't feel like yours. Whispers that never came from outside. Welcome to MindTwistHorror. Where your sanity fractures. Your soul remembers. And the darkness knows your name. These aren't just stories. They're warnings from the other side. And once you hear them, you'll never truly be alone again. Subscribe before something else does it for you. I took the job because I needed the money. Night security. Graveyard shift. Just me, the cameras, and a long list of nothing to do. They said the last guy quit. Just didn't come back. No warning, no explanation. Left his badge on the desk. Logged out clean. But I found his coffee cup, still warm. They assigned me to Building B. Top floor. Old offices. Half the lights don't work. The vents wheeze like they're alive. The kind of silence that feels personal. They gave me the code. The master key. A clipboard with 5 rounds to complete. They said, "You'll never see anyone. No one works past 10. That wasn't true. First night, everything felt normal. Cold. Dusty. But normal. I checked every door. Watched every monitor. It was quiet. Second night, the air felt heavier. Like someone had been walking just ahead of me. Like the rooms weren't empty, just hiding. That was the night I found the time log. Slipped under the security desk. Not typed. Not digital. Handwritten. In pencil. It listed the rounds. Times. Room numbers. But every log ended the same way. Mirror room, 2:47 a.m. Didn't look in. I didn't understand it then. Why a mirror would be logged like a warning. But by the third night, I stopped needing explanations. I just needed to survive until morning. The lights on the south hallway started flickering. Cameras cut to black. And I saw something strange. The feed on screen 4 wasn't showing the hallway anymore. It was showing the break room. And I was already sitting in it. It started on my third night. I was just doing what I always did, pacing between screens, logging empty halls, sipping stale coffee to stay awake. At 2:08 a.m., the east hallway cam flickered. It wasn't unusual. These monitors are old. Most of the equipment looks like it was dragged out of a bunker from the 90s. But then I saw something that froze me. There I was. On the screen. Slumped in the corner by the fire exit. My uniform. My posture. Even the patch of wet on my left sleeve from where I'd spilled water an hour earlier. I was watching myself sleep. At first I thought, playback glitch. Maybe some old footage got stuck in the feed. But I checked the timestamp. It was live. So I did the only thing I could think of. I grabbed my flashlight and I went down that hallway. Nothing. Empty floor. Cold air. Just the sound of the exit sign buzzing overhead. No one sleeping. No me. Just a dark corridor that felt too quiet. When I got back to the security room, the screen was black. Camera 6 had shut off completely. Like it didn't want me to see. I should have quit that night. But I didn't. Fourth night. 2:12 a.m. This time it was the west staircase. Screen 3. Flickering like it was gasping for power. And there I was again. Slouched on the second step. Eyes closed. Head leaning against the wall like I was resting. Except I wasn't tired. I hadn't even sat down all night. I was in the control room, fully awake, staring directly at the screen that showed me somewhere else. I called my supervisor. Told him what I saw. He just sighed. Told me the system glitches sometimes, especially during electrical storms. Said if it happens again, just reboot. But it hadn't rained in 2 weeks. And I knew what I saw. Fifth night. I didn't check the cameras at first. I kept the lights off. Sat in silence. Listened. But at 2:14 a.m., I heard a sound on the monitor speakers. It was me. Breathing. I recognized the way my boots scuffed the floor. The way I clear my throat when I'm anxious. And then I heard something worse. I heard my voice. Whispering. Just one sentence. He's not looking anymore. I stared at the screen. Room 9A. And there he was again. Me. Same uniform. Same posture. But this time, the other me had his eyes wide open. He was looking into the camera. Not blinking. Just watching. And slowly, like he knew I was watching him too. He started to smile. I started seeing myself in more cameras. At first, it was just one. Same hallway. Same pose. But by the 6th night, there were 3 of me. 3 screens. 3 rooms. All at the same time. One slouched in the break room. One leaning against the elevator. One sitting at the top of the stairs, head tilted like he was listening for something. None of them moved. Not even to blink. Just waited. I'd stare into the monitors, hoping to catch one off guard. But every time I blinked, it felt like they blinked too. Like they were waiting for me to miss it. And then, one smiled. Not a full smile. Not all at once. Just the corners of my mouth, lifting. Like a puppet being tugged by invisible strings. It was enough. That's when I called in. Told them I was done. Told them this building wasn't normal. Told them what I saw. The woman on the line didn't sound surprised. Just said she'd mark it in my file and asked if I could stay one more night while they found coverage. I said no. Hung up. Turned in my badge. Left the building. But the next night, I got in anyway. My badge worked. The door unlocked. The elevator opened like it had been waiting for me. No one asked why I was back. No one stopped me. But when I got to the desk, the clipboard already had my name on it. Someone had signed me in. In my handwriting. Now I don't try to leave anymore. Every time I do, the front doors won't open. No matter how hard I push. No matter what time it is. Sometimes the clock says it's 2 a.m. Sometimes it says 5:37. One night it said 3:13, for hours. The lights above the lobby just hum. Like they know I'm stuck. I stopped sleeping. There's no point. Even when I try, I wake up in strange places. Like the doubles, put me there. Once I opened my eyes. And I was in the surveillance room. But I wasn't alone. The chair in front of the monitors was already occupied. By me. He didn't look up. Just stared into the screens like he'd been there forever. Watching. Now I don't patrol. I don't walk the halls. I just sit in the corner. Back against the wall. Watching the monitors. And I wait. I wait for one of them to blink. Because when they do, that's the moment it all changes. And I think it's almost time. Last night, something changed. The feed in the break room lit up again. Camera 5. The one that usually glitches out after 2 a.m. I wasn't in the room. But the screen said I was. I watched myself walk in. Slowly. Like I was on a loop. Sat down at the table. Same coffee mug. Same jacket. Same wear on the elbow. Then he. No, I looked up. Stared directly into the lens. Not like someone being watched. Like someone watching back. That version of me smiled again. Lifted one hand, and waved. Just once. Then, he leaned in. Mouth moved. Whispered something I couldn't hear. No sound. No audio glitch. Just silence. I tried turning the volume up. Nothing. So I replayed it. Over and over. Watching my own lips move. Slower. Closer. Again. I think he said. It's your turn. After that, everything got worse. The cameras don't show the building anymore. Not the one I walk through. Not the one I clean. They show a different version. Same layout. Same hallways. But the doors are always slightly open. The lights flicker at the same moment on every feed. And in every room, there's something just outside the frame. It's like the building I see on the monitors isn't mine anymore. It's theirs. I tried unplugging the monitors. Just to see what would happen. Thought maybe, if I cut the feed, it would stop. But the screens didn't shut off. They stayed on. And for a second, I saw myself again. Only this time, I wasn't watching from behind the camera. I was in the room. Facing the lens. Alone. Lit by some source that doesn't exist in this building. And behind me, something moved. I ran to the break room to check. No one was there. Just the smell of coffee, and something else. Burnt plastic. I checked the chair. It was warm. Someone had been sitting there. And on the table. Someone had carved a message into the wood. We're still watching you. That's when I realized. I'm not alone in this shift anymore. I don't think I ever was. They've been here longer than me. They've worn my face longer than I've worn it myself. They don't want to hurt me. They want to replace me. Maybe they already have. I don't think I've been awake this whole time. I don't even think I ever left the chair. If you've ever seen a security feed, and something was off, like the person in the footage moved before you did, tell me what you saw. Because I don't think the cameras watch us anymore. I think they wait. Story 2. It was a call center. One of those overnight contracts no one wants. Dead shift. Midnight to 6. They said it'd be quiet. Easiest money I'd ever make. The building was old. Mostly empty after 10 p.m. Rows of cubicles soaked in humming light. Dead computers. Stale coffee air. The kind of silence that grows roots in your skin if you sit still long enough. My job was simple. Log calls that came in. Note the time. Forward if needed. Mop the floors. Watch the back stairwell. But there was one more thing. A warning, not a task. During training, my supervisor, an older guy named Cal, handed me a sheet of paper with the usual checklist. Don't worry, he said. Phones rarely ring at night. And if they do, just log it and move on. Then he leaned in, real quiet. Like someone might be listening. One rule though, he said. Don't answer the phones after 3 a.m. I laughed. Thought he was just messing with the new guy. But he didn't laugh back. He just looked down at the desk and said again, slower this time. They don't call for you. First night, nothing happened. I read a book. Cleaned the break room. Only one call came in, around 1:15 a.m. A wrong number. Some guy asking for dispatch. Didn't even sound weird. Second night, same thing. Dead quiet. I started to wonder if they even needed me there. But on the third night, something changed. It was about 2:47 a.m. I was watching the monitors, sipping coffee that tasted like warm copper. And then, one of the phones lit up. Not rang. Just lit up. No sound. No vibration. Just a soft glow in the dark hallway, like it was waiting. Then, exactly at 3:00 a.m., it rang. I stared at it from the control room. The hallway was empty. The phone was on the front desk, still plugged into the wall, but no caller ID. No blinking light. Just the ringing. It didn't sound like the other phones. Not the sharp trill I'd heard earlier in the week. This one was lower. Warmer. Like an old rotary phone echoing in a tunnel. I should have let it go. I should have followed the rule. But I didn't. I answered. I started about a week ago. Low pay. No real hours. No coworkers. Just me and a skeleton crew of flickering fluorescent lights. They kept half the lights off to save power. Said we didn't need them after midnight anyway. It made the place feel old. Like a library no one had visited in decades. One of those liminal spaces you remember from dreams but can't explain why. It didn't feel like a call center. It felt like something waiting to be forgotten. My boss was an older guy. Quiet. Tired in that way you can't fake. He wore the same brown cardigan every shift and always clocked out exactly at 11:59. First night, he gave me the run-through. Clean the break room. Watch the front desk. Take down call logs. Nothing fancy. Then he handed me a set of labeled phones. One at the desk. One in the hallway. One mounted beside the back stairs. That's when he paused. Didn't blink. Didn't smile. Just stared at me with these red, restless eyes. His words, exactly. You can clean. You can snack. You can even sleep. But don't pick up if it rings after 3. I laughed. Thought he was being dramatic. Superstitious. Maybe even half joking. But he didn't laugh back. He just watched me. They don't call for you. I didn't ask what he meant. Didn't want to seem green. New job. New rules. Whatever. First couple nights were dead quiet. I brought snacks. Put my feet up on the desk. Sometimes even napped with my hoodie over my eyes. One time the hallway phone lit up around 2:50 a.m. Caller ID said, no origin. But it never rang. Just glowed for a while. Then died. Night 4, I found something strange. I was mopping near the back stairwell when I noticed a second logbook. Buried under the desk. No dust on it. Like someone had just used it. The pages weren't call logs. They were warnings. Don't answer from line 3. If the hallway phone rings twice, unplug it. If it rings from inside the building, run. Some of the pages had time stamps. Some just had scribbled numbers. One page was torn in half. But I could still read what was written near the top. Answer once, and they'll know your voice. That night, I didn't sleep. I sat facing all 3 phones. Waiting. And at exactly 3:01 a.m. the phone on the hallway wall began to ring. It was 3:12 a.m. I remember the exact time because I looked at the clock just before it started. I was wiping down the last row of desks, the ones no one used. The row by the dark windows, where the city lights don't reach. And then I heard it. The phones in our building don't ring loudly. They hum. A soft, mechanical trill, like a breath caught in a throat. You don't hear it over conversation or music. But when the whole building's asleep, when the lights hum and the vents stop rattling, you hear it. Like it's waiting for you to notice. I walked slowly to the main call board. My shoes stuck to the linoleum. The lights above me flickered once. Only one light was on. Red. Not green. That was strange. Red wasn't supposed to flash unless it was internal. No blinking name. No origin. No number. Just ringing. Over and over. Every 3 seconds. Same tone. Same rhythm. I stood there, just watching the button flash. 1 minute. Maybe 2. Trying to convince myself it was a glitch. But it wasn't. It didn't sound like the other phones. It sounded older. Like something calling through the walls of an empty house. The kind of ring that doesn't demand you answer. It just waits. I told myself I'd just pick it up and hang up immediately. That I'd log it, tell Cal in the morning, and never touch the phones again. But when my hand touched the receiver, it felt wrong. Like it had been held recently. Like the plastic was still warm. I picked it up. There was no voice. No crackle. Just open air, and this faint, almost, breathing sound. At first, I thought it was feedback. Some old analog hiss. But the longer I held the line, the more it sounded real. Not mechanical. Not static. Breathing. Slow. Steady. Like someone standing right behind the mic waiting. I didn't say anything. I just held the phone, my back straight, 1 foot half ready to bolt. Then I heard something else. Hello? Except, it wasn't a stranger's voice. It was mine. My voice. Exactly. The same hesitation. The same breath before the word. Like someone had recorded me. Or copied me. Or was using my mouth. I hung up. Hard. Didn't care if I broke the line. I didn't even log it. Just unplugged the cord, stepped back, and waited. The room didn't feel right anymore. The air was thick. Like someone had just left. Or was still there. I stood by the desk until sunrise. No one spoke. No music. No static. Just breathing. Deep. Too close. Like someone was standing right next to the receiver. Not exhaling. Not impatient. Just waiting. I didn't know what to do. So I said it. Quietly. Hello? Hello? Again. This time louder. Like my voice could scare it off. And then, the breathing stopped. Not gradually, instantly. What came next wasn't speech. It was more like the sound a person makes when they're trying to speak using someone else's mouth. David. My name. Not shouted. Not even spoken. Whispered. But it was my voice. Not similar. Not close. Mine. The same rasp I get when I'm overtired. The same rhythm. It sounded like I had called myself. I dropped the receiver. Didn't press the button. Didn't say anything else. For a second, everything was still. The lights above me hummed. The clock blinked 3:17 a.m. And then, the power in the east wing cut out. Half the building dimmed at once. One by one, the hallway lights snapped off. Starting near the bathrooms, moving closer. Too fast to be coincidence. Too slow to be normal. And then, one of the phones on desk row B lit up. Just one. No ring. No caller ID. just glowing red. Thing is, that phone isn't even connected. Cord's been cut for months. I walked toward it. Slowly. Every step felt heavier. I remember thinking, maybe it's just a surge. Maybe the emergency battery kicked in. But the closer I got, the more I felt it, the wrongness. The desk was cold. Like it had been sitting in a freezer. But the receiver was warm. Like someone had just put it down. I leaned in to look at the screen. No number. Just one word. Flashing in red. Listening. I didn't touch it. I backed away. Grabbed my keys. Headed for the front door. But when I swiped my badge. Nothing. No red light. No green. Just nothing. Like the scanner didn't even see me. I tried again. And again. Still nothing. Then I looked up, and saw the security camera in the ceiling tilt. I'd never seen them move before. They were locked in place. Old. Rusted. But this one turned toward me. Slowly. Silently. Then it stopped. Right on my face. I wasn't the one watching the building anymore. The next night, the calls came earlier. 2:57 a.m. Then 2:44. It doesn't sound like much, but it kept shifting. Every night, just a few minutes earlier. Until I realized, it wasn't just ringing. It was reaching. It wanted more time. Like something trying to stretch its hands deeper into the night. I stopped answering. I thought if I ignored it long enough, it would stop. It didn't. If anything, it got worse. Some nights, all the phones ring at once. The front desk. The hallway. The unplugged one in row B. The one I smashed in the stairwell. The sound is everywhere. Echoing off the tile, bouncing down the vents. Like the building's full of mouths, and every one of them is calling my name. Last night. I didn't move. I sat at my station. Back straight. Eyes locked on the screen. I let the phones ring until the air felt like it was vibrating. And then, one of the monitors turned on. By itself. I didn't touch a key. It switched to camera 03, the one pointed at my own desk. Someone was sitting there. At my desk. Wearing my hoodie. Holding the receiver. Smiling. It was me. Not like me. Not close. It was me. But I never left my chair. I watched myself talk into the phone. I watched myself lean back and laugh at something only he could hear. And then, he looked at the camera. At me. It wasn't a glance. It was eye contact. He knew I was watching. And for a split second, I didn't feel like the one sitting in the chair anymore. I shut the monitor off. Killed the feed. Unplugged every phone I could find. But the moment I turned off the breaker to the east wing, the desk phone lit up again. Still not plugged in. I lifted it off the cradle just to stop the light. But it never stopped glowing. It just whispered one word. Faint. Mechanical. Switch. I don't know what it meant. Or maybe. I do. I think this place is trying to trade me out. Like I've been filling in for someone, or something, and now it's ready to bring the original back. Or maybe I was never the original to begin with. Tonight was different. No calls. No lights. No static. Just one thing. A voicemail notification, blinking red on the console monitor. That's not possible. This system doesn't record voicemails. Not on the overnight shift. Not on that line. That number doesn't even go out. It's internal. A closed loop, no external dialing allowed. I played it anyway. At first, it sounded like nothing. Just the hiss of dead air. Breathing. A chair creaking. A flick of a switch in the background. And then, I heard my own voice. Hello? Hello, again. The exact words I said the night I picked up that call. It was me. Not just similar. Not just close. A perfect recording. Word for word. Breath for breath. But at the end, there was something else. Something I hadn't heard the first time. A voice. Faint. Wrong. Like someone was whispering through a mouth that didn't belong to them. Answer, again, and we'll switch. That's what it said. I haven't touched a phone since. I come in. I sit down. I listen to the building breathe. And I wait for morning. But some nights, even when the phones don't ring, I still hear them. Buzzing in the wires. Scratching behind the walls. Like they're dialing without ringing. Like they're trying to remember my voice. Last night, I unplugged every line. This morning, they were all connected again. Not just reconnected. Tied in knots. Looped like veins around the chairs, the desk legs, my shoes. And all of them were humming. Not ringing. Like something alive was inside the cords. There's something else I haven't told you. I checked the archives. The building security tapes. Every night since I started. I watched myself walk in on night 1. I watched myself sit. Clean. Stare. But somewhere between night 3 and night 4. I stop blinking. I just sit. Still. Like I'm waiting for something. And by night 5. I never leave. That's when I knew. I don't think I'm supposed to leave this place. And the worst part? I don't remember ever going home. If you've ever heard a phone ring when it shouldn't have, tell me what it said. Because I think I'm not the only one still on the line. Story 3. They don't talk about the 6th floor anymore. Used to be a maternity ward. Long hall. Pale yellow walls. Cartoon giraffes peeling off the wallpaper. Half of them smiling. The other half, warped from water damage. Room 6C was where the delivery beds were. 6D was for observation. 6E was the nursery. Now it's all shut down. Sealed off. No nurses. No patients. No records. But the doors are still there. The equipment's still there. Covered in dust. Waiting. I started night shift 3 months ago. Janitorial float. Basic routine, trash, mop, reset supplies. They gave me a list. Every floor except 6. When I asked why, they said it's just storage now. That there's nothing up there. They lied. You know how some places go quiet, but it's a normal quiet. Like a library. Or a church after hours. This wasn't that. The 6th floor has a different kind of silence. Like it's listening. I walked past the elevators once during rounds and they just dinged. All by themselves. I didn't press anything. No one else did either. But they opened. Just wide enough. I didn't step in. But what finally got me was the sound. I was in the supply closet. Just past midnight. Sorting gloves. Talking to myself, just to stay awake. And then. It wasn't loud. Just enough to make me freeze. A baby. Maybe 2, 3 days old. Soft cry. Gasping. Like it needed something. I stepped into the hallway. Looked both ways. It was coming from upstairs. The maternity wing. I stood there for a full minute. My brain was trying to logic its way through it. Maybe it was a recording. A monitor left on. Echo from the pediatric ward. But there was no pediatric ward. That closed 3 years ago. I told myself I imagined it. Lack of sleep. Brains do weird things at 2 a.m. Then I heard it again. This time, closer. Coming from the stairwell. Floor 6. And this time, the sound wasn't behind a wall. It was in the hall. I reported it the next morning. Just in passing. Trying to be casual. Hey, weird question, did you guys ever leave a recording or something up on the 6th? They just looked at each other. One nurse finally said, "You didn't go up there, right?" I asked why. She didn't answer. Just said, "Don't. Whatever you do, don't answer when it cries." I clean floors on the night shift. Nobody glamorous. Just a badge, a mop, and a quiet radio I never turn on. Long hallways. Machines that breathe through the walls. Vending machines with half-dead lights, blinking like something's trying to get out. The maternity wing's been closed for 6 years. Budget cuts, they said. No more babies. No more parents sleeping in waiting chairs. No reason to keep the lights on up there. There's no power in that wing. No staff. No access. They even sealed the electronic locks on the stairwell door. But every night, around 12:10 a.m., like clockwork, the crying starts. Faint at first. Just a hiccup in the silence. But it gets louder. Not closer. Just sharper. Like it's forcing its way through. It doesn't come from the monitors. Not from the PA system. Not from a phone someone forgot. No. It echoes from the rooms. That's what gets me. The direction. The way it moves. It doesn't sound like a recording. It sounds like a hallway memory. Like something that used to happen here, is still happening. I didn't believe it at first. I told myself it was in my head. Lack of sleep. Vents pulling sound from somewhere else. But vents don't breathe. And one night, I stood in front of the stairwell door. And I swear, I heard it from the floor beneath me. It moves. Floor to floor. Like it's trying to find a way back in. Or trying to be found. One of the nurses caught me listening by the stairwell. She was older. Worked here back when that floor was still open. She didn't smile. Didn't scold me either. She just said, "Everyone hears it. But don't follow it." I asked her why. She looked at the floor. Didn't say a word. Just crossed herself. That should have been enough. But the problem with warnings is that they only work on people who want to be safe. And part of me needed to know. So I waited until my next shift. I brought a flashlight. Didn't tell anyone. Left my cart by the elevator and walked toward the stairwell. It was just after midnight. The crying hadn't started yet. I remember standing in front of the maternity wing doors, those heavy double ones with the reinforced windows. I didn't touch them. But they opened. No gust of wind. No push from behind. They just eased open, like something on the other side had been waiting. I stepped in. My flashlight flickered immediately. Brand new batteries. I checked before leaving. The beam pulsed like it was moving through fog. But the hallway wasn't foggy. It just felt thick. Like the air had weight. The layout was still the same. Room 6A through 6F. Delivery bed still bolted to the floor. Posters curling off the walls. A crib flipped on its side. Everything frozen. Like a memory that couldn't rot. But what really got me was the light. Every room was dark, except 6E. The nursery. There was a light on in there. Faint. Pale. Like something was glowing beneath the crib. I started walking toward it. And that's when the crying started again. Only this time, it wasn't distant. It was in the same hallway. Behind one of the doors. Or under the floor. Or above the ceiling. It kept moving. I froze. Not because I was afraid, but because it stopped sounding like a baby. It was crying. But not for milk. Not for comfort. It was calling. Like it knew I was finally listening. The crying got louder. But not in a way that made sense. Not frantic. Not in pain. Not even desperate. It sounded patient. Like whatever was making it had all the time in the world. Like it knew I was coming, and was just waiting for me to catch up. I passed the main nursery. Empty. Cribs overturned. Faint stains on the floor that didn't look like dust or mold. I should have left. I should have turned around the second the lights opened those doors. But I didn't. Room 3B was the only room with a glow. No power. No generator. But behind the glass, it looked like candlelight. I looked through the narrow vertical window. The crib was there. Pale sheets. Empty. But freshly made, like someone had just laid a baby down, then took it away. Then I saw it. In the far corner of the room. An old wooden rocking chair. Moving. Back and forth. Back and forth. No one in it. Just rocking. Like something had just left. Or was still there. But unseen. I pressed my hand to the glass. The window was warm. That's when the crying stopped. Like someone hit mute on the world. No rain. No hum. Just nothing. And then I stepped back. The chair stopped rocking. And turned toward me. Not the chair. The room. The whole room tilted, like gravity shifted. Just for a second. But enough to make me feel like I wasn't standing in a hospital anymore. Like I was standing in someone else's memory. I didn't sleep that morning. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard it again. That soft rocking. The whisper through the glass. The way the room tilted like something was watching from a different angle. I had to know what happened in room 3B. So I came back early that night. Way before shift. Went to the basement. The old record room. Most of it's digital now, scanned, encrypted, filed. But some of the older cases? Still boxed. Still too quiet. I asked the clerk about 3B. He looked up. Blinked twice. Then he just stopped moving. Like a clock had wound down inside him. That room was sealed after an incident, he finally said. Child went missing. Nurse too. No camera footage. No explanation. Then he handed me a file. It was thin. Too thin. No written statements. No names. Just one single page, printed like a summary. But when I opened the file, a handwritten note slid out. It wasn't supposed to be in there. It was on a torn-out patient chart. Faded ink. Smudged. But I could read it. If the crying stops, don't move. That means it found you. That was it. No signature. No date. Just shoved behind a drawer, like someone had tried to hide it and couldn't bring themselves to throw it away. I read that line over and over. Until the lights in the archive flickered. And the crying started again. Last night, the crying didn't start at 12:10. It started at 11:59. Right behind me. Not through the vents. Not through the walls. Not even muffled. It was right there. I was in the supply hall, counting mop heads. And then that small, broken sound filled the room. Not angry. Not loud. Just sad. Like it had been waiting for me all along. And finally, I was where it wanted. I didn't turn around. I didn't move. I just stood there, trying to pretend the air behind me wasn't getting colder. Pretending I didn't smell baby powder where no one had been in years. And the sound kept going. Crying, gently. Rhythmic. Until I felt something wet touch the back of my neck. I clocked out at sunrise. Walked straight through the lobby without grabbing my jacket. Never turned back. Not once. But I know what's coming. It used to follow a pattern. Crying at 12:10. Every night. But now it's changing. It's learning. And one of these nights, I won't hear anything at all. Not because it left. Because it finally found what it was looking for. And when the crying stops, I'll be next. They say night shifts are quiet. Peaceful. Just a job. But in the dark, some jobs don't stay empty. Some rooms don't stay silent. And some things don't stay gone. You've just heard 3 stories. Of places that remember. Places that wait. Places that watch. If your nights don't feel quite right anymore. If your shift feels longer than it should. Or if you've heard something you can't explain. You're not alone. Subscribe to MindTwistHorror. And come back for more. Because the next story might already be looking for you.